Once again, welcome back to New York. As the U.S. fight against terrorism gains momentum, there are new developments both here in the U.S. and overseas. With the U.S. poised for possible military action against targets in Afghanistan, there's a warning of new possibilities of terrorist attacks here. The Washington Post reporting that intelligence officials have told members of Congress that new terrorist attacks in the U.S. are all but certain should the U.S. strike targets in Afghanistan. All this as U.S. Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld meets with the Uzbek president in Uzbekistan, this to lay the groundwork for possible military action there. Meanwhile, the U.S.'s most vocal ally being heard again today as the British Prime Minister Tony Blair takes his message to Islamabad. We anticipate comments from Tony Blair and General Pervez Musharraf, the Pakistani president, momentarily here. When we have those for you, we'll certainly pass them along to you. We anticipate those comments to be live momentarily here on CNN. Now to Afghanistan, and the opposition Northern Alliance controls a small portion of that country, about 10%, mostly in the northeast. You can see it highlighted in certain maps in red. That group has been fighting the Taliban for years, and Northern Alliance leaders are hoping they'll benefit from any U.S. action. CNN's Matthew Chance is there on the front lines.
A tense journey through the ravaged villages on the front line in Afghanistan's civil war. Control of these buildings has changed hands no less than 3 times. Whole lives have known only conflict. Mohammed Khani is commander of the Northern Alliance forces here. He's been battling the Taliban on this front for 6 years and knows the land well. He told me his tanks and men are in defensive positions now, but he said they're ready to push onto Kabul when the order comes. Fighters say they're poised to take advantage of any US strike on Taliban forces. From this forward position of the Northern Alliance, we're literally 400 meters from the Taliban front line. And what's more, just across this rugged patch of no man's land lies Kabul, the devastated capital, but still the ultimate prize for many of these Afghan fighters. Emerging from their Soviet-era tank, these troops say they're already fighting a war on terrorism alone. The Taliban are their enemy, but also fighters from Arab states, China and Pakistan, trained, they say, by Osama bin Laden. Overnight, we sat and talked about the battles ahead, with or without support from Washington. We will continue to fight by ourselves, says this mujahideen. Our fathers here in Afghanistan have fought and died, but they have taught us that we should always battle for our freedom. Until the US strikes, some outside Afghanistan may see this as a sideshow, even a phony war. But for those fighting on the front line, it couldn't be more real. Matthew Chance, CNN, Northern Afghanistan.
I want to follow up now a story yesterday. The White House now saying that once again, in repeating from yesterday, they believe that plane that was shot down over the Black Sea was shot down again by Ukrainian military exercises, but Russia now calling on Israel and the U.S. to help to recover the flight recorders from an airliner again that crashed yesterday. The plane was on its way to Siberia from Tel Aviv when it exploded in the air, according to eyewitnesses, and went down with more than 70 on board. Russian experts examining the fragments of the cabin of that plane and recovering the bodies of crash victims. The Russian prosecutor's office has launched a criminal investigation into the crash and raising the possibility that terrorism was involved. Ukrainian officials are disputing again the theory we talked about from the White House that says a plane was accidentally shot down during military exercises being conducted by the military in the country of Ukraine. In the meantime, we know the images, they are unforgettable, from the bombs over Baghdad to Vietnamese villages being burned down. But what is the best way to balance the public's right to know and national security? Up next, Jeff Greenfield and a closer look at the uneasy relationship between the media and the military.